Hey guys, Chris here. Today I'm going to walk you through how to get your new baptism camera set up. This is the hard case that your camera is stored in and transported in. If you open it up, you can see that there are specific spots for each of the units. You have your handle unit, your camera itself, and then your battery and your power adapter here. Along with these things, you have an inventory list that should show you everything that you need and should be always in this case. If it's not in this case and it's on this list, please reach out to us and then we'll make sure we get you something there. On the back of this inventory list is a QR code that has all the camera info that you would need to get started and get set up. And so if you need to reference that, that will help you get white balances set and all your different settings that you're going to need to use the camera. So obviously you have the camcorder itself, you have the battery pack here, you have the handle unit, you have the hood, and you have the power adapter. All of these things are things that I'm going to show you how to get properly configured and set up so you can start using your camera. First thing we're going to do is lock the hood into place. So the hood helps with light pollution. Although your camera balances all of its parameters automatically for you, this will definitely help you get the best picture quality possible. So on each of these devices, the camcorder itself and the hood, you're going to see these little notches right here. And then there's a matching notch right on the camera itself, kind of hard to see, but it's right there. And so all you're going to do is get those lined up together, and then you're going to twist until you can't twist anymore, and then you're going to do one more big click, just like that. And so now you can see that the hood is lined up with the camera, and when we actually turn on the camera and look into the viewfinder, you will actually see that there is no indication of the hood being on, which is good. That is what we're shooting for. If you see the hood at all in the actual viewfinder, then you know that it's not on correctly. The next thing we're going to install is the handle unit right here. So you can see that there is a metal plate here and a piece here that actually goes into the camera itself. On the camera, you can see where the metal plate goes and where this knob gets screwed down into. And then this depresses here, and that is how we're going to install it. So you're going to line it up here, and then you're going to press down, and you're going to pull back so it locks into place, and it actually makes a connection. And then this little screw right here, you're going to need two hands for this. You're going to push it down, and then you're going to twist at the same time. And so once it grips, then you don't need to really hold it down. You can just twist it right in. Make sure that is twisted on nicely. You should be able to just do it finger tight, and it'll be totally fine. And then you have your handle set up. The next step is to install your battery. So we're going to flip over our camera so we can see the pins on the inside. This is where your battery goes. This is your battery here, which you can see has 4 pins as well. And so we're going to line up those contacts just like this. And then we're going to put it in all the way to the right. And then you can see that there are arrows here, so you're just going to pop it over that direction until it clicks. Just like that. And so now you can see that this is not wiggling around, it's sat in there properly. And then if you ever need to replace it or release it, you just hit the battery release button and you pop it over. And you take the new one, you put it in, go over till it clicks, and you're good to go. All right, the last thing that we are going to install is the power adapter, which should also be in your case. You have a regular Edison plug on the one side, and then on the other side you have just a regular DC connection there. So all you're going to do is you're going to flip open the DC port here, and you can put that off to the side, and then you can see that the port is ready, and then you're just going to plug in your power adapter. While you can use the battery on its own, we would not recommend that. Always plug it into power if at all possible. That way you don't have to worry about battery running out, and then during gatherings, that would obviously be unfortunate. So we're going to make sure that we always have a power source nearby, whether that's an actual outlet or if it's an extension cord, it doesn't matter. But you want to have both of these items when you're actually going to be using it. All right, now that we're all assembled, I'm going to give you an overview of how to actually use the camera. So if we look on the side here, the power switch is right here. So I'm going to turn that on. And then this viewfinder opens up right here. And then if we turn it around, it'll take a little bit, but then once it loads up, you'll be able to see the preview of what you're using. Now this, if you didn't notice, is all black, which is because I have the lens cap on. So I'm going to remove the lens cap here. You just squeeze on either side, set that off to the side. And now when I open up my lens finder, you can see I can look at all the different things. There is a menu button right here. So if we get a little closer, You can hit the menu button, and then you can use this little D-pad to go up and down. The first setting we're going to check is under the menu, and we're going to use this D-pad to go down into camera function. And then we're going to go find the shutter, and we are going to confirm that it is on step. If it is on variable, you can use the D-pad and its button to set it to step. While in camera function, the next setting that you're going to want to adjust is your manual iris. So if we go down here to manual iris limit open, we're going to switch that from f2 to 1.8. And so that'll give you the widest that you can get with your manual iris adjustment. That way you get a good exposure. The next setting that we're going to double check is under AV set, video set, and then we're going to go to HDMI/SDI out and confirm that it is on SDI. If it is on HDMI or HDMI plus SDI, we want to switch it to SDI. That'll just confirm that when you connect the cable to the camera itself, it will output what you want it to. The second thing on this page we're going to check is resolution. We're going to always make sure that it is at 1080i, not 1080p. This will ensure that when you do connect it to your switcher, that it will display properly through all of your gear. If you want another helpful way of framing your shots effectively, if you go to LCD, marker settings, and then turn on grid marker, and then go up to the main marker on-off switch and set it to on. Now, when you jump back to your regular screen, you can see that there are grid markers now. This is super helpful if you're trying to frame up a shot and use the rule of thirds. This is what that is for. The next settings we're going to adjust are the gain settings. This is going to directly affect your exposure, which will directly affect how your camera looks on screen. So we're going to want to make sure that we set a good foundation for that before we move forward. We're going to go to camera function, and then we're going to scroll all the way down until we find the gain settings all the way in the bottom here. You'll see that there are 3 different settings, and so we're going to want to make sure that gain L is at 0, gain M should be at 9, and then gain H should be at 12. For this next setting, you're going to want to be in your auditorium with your baptism lights on, preferably with your pool as well, but we're going to grab a white piece of paper and we are going to set our white balance. This is super important to make sure skin tone is right under the actual lighting of your auditorium. On the front of your camera, you have your auto white balance button, and that is what we're going to be pushing once we're ready to set our white balance. As you can see, I have a white piece of paper taped to the wall in front of me. So to set my white balance, what I'm going to do is I'm going to zoom in completely so that the page is completely covering the entirety of the viewfinder. And then once I do that, I'm going to reach in front and I'm going to click and hold the white balance button and let go. And as you can see, the actual exposure of the camera has changed. It's a little bit different on my camera versus the viewfinder, but if you look in person, you will see that it matches the white on the page with the white on the viewfinder. This just means that now the camera knows what is actually white and what kind of white that is. So that'll be really helpful when you're trying to get skin tone right. The next setting we're going to look at is how to switch from autofocus to manual focus. The reason that we do that is because while autofocus can be very helpful in a lot of scenarios, oftentimes it is not sure what subject to focus on in given scenarios. So we switch it to manual focus. That way we always have the person or people that need to be super sharp in focus and good to go on our screens. The button that I'm going to be using in the next demonstration is this button here. The AF/MF button will toggle between autofocus and manual focus. And then to actually manually adjust your focus, this is the focus ring that you're going to be using in order to get a sharp image. So we're going to be using our viewfinder today to make sure that we are in manual focus mode. And to do that, we are going to toggle this display button twice. And now, as you can see, there are a lot of different parameters that are displayed on our viewfinder. These will not be on the screen themselves, but you will be able to see what is going on with the camera. So for instance, when I toggle that AF/MF button, you'll see that a little MF just popped up on the side here. That is ensuring that you are in manual focus mode. As you can see right now, my lens cap is very out of focus. So by twisting the manual focus ring on the front, you'll see that it very quickly becomes a lot sharper and it looks great. So that is what you'll want to do on the main person who is getting baptized. And you're going to try to get the people next to them as well to get as in focus as possible without sacrificing the focus of the person being baptized. To display on screens, what we're going to do is going to connect your camera directly to your switcher via an SDI cable. An SDI cable looks like this. It'll have a BNC connector on both ends. You can see how there is a little notch here, and then that is where the actual pin sits. So you will push it on, and then you'll twist, and it'll lock into place. In order to display your camera feed from your camera to your side screens, you are going to utilize an SDI cable to run from your camera directly to an input on your switcher. This is going to be used using an SDI cable, and this is the SDI out that you'll be using for that cable. What you're going to do is take your SDI cable and you're going to put it up against and twist until you feel it lock into place, and then twist it to the right a little bit. And now you'll have a secure connection, and that is not going anywhere. Then you go directly into your switcher via any of the opened inputs. As soon as you connect your camera and you select the proper input on your switcher, you should see a camera feed right away. So that is everything that you need to know to get your baptism camera up and running for a weekend. There are a ton of way more in-depth features within this camera, but those things alone that we went over today are going to get you able to get great shots on your screen for your baptisms. If you're interested in learning more about proper framing for a more aesthetically pleasing shot, or how to record audio to and from your camera onto an SD card, feel free to check out some of the other videos in the channel. Thanks for all you guys do to make baptisms happen and make really great moments for people in the pools. See you in the next one.